In this video, I want to talk about the 10 domains of becoming the CEO of your own life, which is the philosophy of our Brotherhood Beyond Business Mastermind program. So just a quick intro to what that program is. It's a male-only program. It's nothing to do with females. It's just this program is really detailed in on conversations as men and like being able to optimize your life as a male. And I think a female program like this would be awesome. I'm just a male and I'm not the right person to build a program like this for that. But this is a male-only program and it's for entrepreneurs, okay? So the idea is we are going to talk a lot about business, but it's going to be focused on all aspects of life. Unlike most masterminds, it's not just going to be a think tank. It's not going to be one idea where we just sit there and give out tons of ideas. It's about finding the right part of your life and moving it up. So I'm going to go through the 10 different domains that we focus on in this, give a description of what each one is, what kind of it entails, so you can get a good idea of what this program is and why you would even want to join a mastermind like this. So anything when I'm done with this, guys, just go ahead and shoot me any comments, any DMs, any social medias or anything of that nature to ask questions about this program. If it's anything you ever want to be interested in. We do have a limited number of spots always. The program, each group is only 10 people big. And right now we don't have a lot of spots available. So if something you're ever interested, please DM us. And if there's not a spot available, we will make sure that we put you on a list for when a spot does come available. So let me go through each domain. So the first thing you got to think about is this idea comes from the wheel of life. You guys ever heard of that? It's a diagram, right? And the diagram was coming out of it with different categories. So these categories are what I have found as an entrepreneur to be the most important, and especially as a male entrepreneur, the most important things to move my life forward in the different areas of flexibility I want in my life. I use the word flexibility specifically because we all got into business to create flexibility in our life in different categories. Very few of us got in business just to make a lot of money. And if that is your thing, that's awesome, cool, like that's great. This mastermind program might not be for you if that's the only thing you're like wanting, or if you're at that point like, man, I've made enough money, I want to be better in all aspects of life, I've done that part of the game, I want to play the other parts of the game, then this is the right program for you. But it's not somebody that says, I just want to grow my business as big as possible and I don't care about anything else. This is completely the wrong program for you. There's awesome programs out there. Send me a DM. I can recommend some out there that are really good for you. But our program is specifically about developing the individual entrepreneur to become the best version of themselves for their family, for their faith, for every component inside of their life to make them the best version that they can be. So the spoke, we're going to go through, these are all different categories on the spoke, and I'm just going to go through each one individually to give you a good idea of what that is and why we even have it in our program. So the first one's physical dominance. And I actually think this is the most important one because if you're not physically taking care of yourself, it's almost like putting a face mask on the airplane, right? When it drops, you got to put it on yourself before you take care of others. If your health is bad, you're going to minimize the effectiveness you have. You'll have less energy. You'll have less long-term health, so you won't be able to do this as long. You could end up with like a lot of health scares along the way that will impact the other aspects of your life. So I actually think, I do come from a fitness background, so I'm probably a little biased here, but I do think this is the most important component of all the components of the wheel of life. If you have bad physical dominance, physical health, you definitely are going to be needing to focus on that right away to get that up and going because it's going to give you so much value in the rest of your life. It's almost where somebody walks into our program and they're like, hey, I am doing okay in these different areas, but physically I'm just like out of shape, and out of shape is like relative, obviously. There's like assessments and stuff you'll go through with us. Like I need to lose 40 pounds or I have like a health scare and I need to get it fixed. Cool. I actually think that's one of the most important things you'll do in our program to start off with, to get that checked into like a 7 or an 8. So when I say these numbers, it's 1 to 10 is a scale, right? And so 1 to 10 is a scale, and we want to see where you on that scale to see where it is on the spoke as we go through it, right? To see how much, you have maybe a couple categories that are 7s and 8s, maybe one's a 9, maybe one's a 1, one's a 3. So the lowest one is the one we want to improve. So physical health would be one of those things we want to hit pretty early to make sure that we get you moving the best you can, the healthiest we can, so that you can do better in all aspects of life. But if it's just like, hey, I have 5 extra pounds and I'd love to have a 6-pack, like that's not the conversation. The conversation is going from being really unhealthy to making you healthy so everything else moves forward. So the word, we use physical dominance for a very specific reason. And when I think of a CEO, I think of that guy that when you walk in the room, they're the most dominating person in the world. Right? You walk in the room and you're like, oh my gosh, that is the person, like I respect them instantly, right? And this is coming, like this is a male perspective, right? And it's so many different ways about it. And that's why we do have a male only program, because we look at it through male lens. But if I walk in the room and The Rock and Mark Zuckerberg are next to each other and both of them are claiming to be the CEO, my instinct is go to The Rock. The Rock is physically dominant, right? I'm not saying anybody needs to be as big as he is, but that's the conceptual side, right? Is that when I walk in the door, I want that jacked CEO. I don't want the person that's like skinny and frail and going to fall apart on me. Not that Mark Zuckerberg actually has been working out pretty hard and it actually looks pretty good, honestly. So I don't want like this to get out there and act like he doesn't train. But the idea is that just looks different if you put those two in that category, right? You could probably put Bill Gates, would probably be a better example there, realistically, because he's definitely not a healthy person. But so you have those two in that category, right? And so we want to work on that physical dominance. And inside of each one of these domains, there's lots of categories. So in terms of that, there's going to be nutrition, there's going to be sleep, there's going to be your actual fitness or your weight training style. Strength really is in that category too, lifestyle, environment. So there's a lot of categories inside of these that we can help you break down each one and figure out where do we need to improve those things. For every single category that I'm going to talk about, we work on keystone habits as well as moving the needle on each one. And we'll talk about that in another video. I don't want to get into that too much in this video, but the idea of how the program actually works, how we move you up. I just want to talk about the categories right now, but inside of these things, we do have ways to move those up so that you move from a 1 to a 3, a 3 to a 5, and move yourself up over time to well-round yourself across the board. This program is not just about, I call it a program, but it's really a mastermind because the idea is like we're working together to do this is where the mastermind component comes in. It's not just ideas, mastermind style. It's like working together as a team really is. It's probably more of like a large group, a group setting more than anything. And what I mean by that is like it's probably a men's only kind of group more than a mastermind program, but I'm familiar with masterminds of teams, and that's kind of how we call this program, okay? So physical dominance is number 1. Number 2 is soulful alignment. So this category, the reason we call it soulful alignment is I'm strong in my faith. I believe in God. I'm going to sit here and tell you that every single day, but that doesn't mean everybody does. Everybody has that same category. They might not believe in a higher power. And I don't think to be the best version of yourself, you have to have that. As a person that's strong in their faith, I do believe that like, it's hard for me to always say that because I do believe that I want you to go to heaven and all that kind of stuff, right? But realistically, to be in this program, like to become the best version of yourself, to be the best human you can, it's not really a requirement. And so that's what I'm kind of saying in this video is like soulful alignment is a bigger picture idea of believing and putting faith in something bigger than yourself, right? And so it doesn't mean that you have to have a belief in a higher power exactly, but it's a belief that my mindset, things I can control are, and just having a belief in that component of taking care of myself overall. On a mental side of things is important as well. Relaxation, things all in that category. Soulful alignment is a category that we really, it's really about being introspective to yourself and having deeper thoughts. Clarity breaks time for yourself to really think. Faith always comes in great with that because that gives you clarity. It gives you something to focus on, but it can just be working on yourself, working on your free time kind of ideas more than just a faith. So it really matters on what that category is. We are going to talk about higher power stuff. So if it's something that I don't want anybody ever talk about faith in a conversation with me, this is not going to be the right group for you, but we're definitely not trying to convert anybody into a different faith or anything of that nature. Just the idea is like, hey, if you believe in God, I'm going to bring God in the conversation. If you don't believe in God, totally fine. I'm not going to bring him in the conversation, but I'm just going to be talking about how do we get you to have inner peace, to focus on time to think deep thought. So that's soulful alignment. Number 3 is going to be mental fortitude. So it's going to kind of tap in that same idea, but mental fortitude is the idea of overcoming things, putting obstacles into your life or finding obstacles in your life and overcoming them. How do I become mentally tough to conquer these things? And without the ability to have mental fortitude, you're not going to be successful in any of these areas long-term. You might have short-term things, and short-term wins are probably a level of mental fortitude because you had to overcome something to move it from a 2 to a 4, right? So the idea of mental fortitude is to build in the internal, to overcome your talking yourself out of stuff, right? The words I want to use, I probably shouldn't use on YouTube, but the idea is that to overcome the things that you want to overcome, to get your head out of its, out of itself, right? To overcome those things. That's what mental fortitude is. And we're going to focus on making you stronger mentally. Mental toughness, really. Passion-based business. So we're going to talk a lot about passion-based business and what that means, and what we actually have a whole strategy around passion-based business, what that means exactly. Conceptually, what it means is finding something that you're super passionate about. And it doesn't have to be the service itself that has to be passionate about. So an example is we do websites. I am not extremely, in our business level up, I'm not extremely excited about websites. It's not something that gets me up in the morning. I want to learn more about websites. But it's a great service that I saw that people weren't doing great out there. And it gave me an opportunity to serve people the best I can. I love serving people, period. So I knew I could do a better job at serving people in this one area. So we created websites. And so now we do websites and we give world-class service on that. That was the thing that I was excited about. I'm passionate about serving those people to help their business be better. And we sell them other things that help them continue to serve in that same spectrum, that same service mindset, and allows me to put some of my passion things into the other things that we're selling them. So it's a passion, something that you're really excited about to help improve somebody's life. You have a vision on it, right? And then also inside of that passion-based model is creating a lifestyle inside of that. So it's not a business where you're going to work 80 hours a week. It's a business where you can have flexibility in it, where sometimes you have to be pushed really, really hard, right? You have to push for a long, long period of time. That happens in business, especially in the new business part. You might have to overdo that or be a little bit out of balance in that component. But for the most part, your life is relatively balanced. And when I say balance, the word harmony is a better example. My good friend Mark Greenwood always says that harmony is a better idea because it doesn't mean that anything at one time is really equal, but the idea is they have harmony between them that like, okay, when this one's higher, this one might be lower, but that they kind of like balance themselves out or become harmony over time, right? So that's the idea. But passion-based business, we do have a model built around that to help you figure out, is your business a passion-based business? I'll have other videos specifically about this. But idea of profitability as well, making sure that's truly a profitable business so you can take home more financial flexibility. You have free time as well involved in it. Is it something you're passionate about? Is it something you can do long term? And can you serve the industry that you're in the best you can? So again, that's a spoke. So the idea is like, are you passionate about your business and is your business doing well? So that category is a pretty broad one. We have a lot of things inside of there from different KPIs we track, lots of different categories inside of the business thing. It's a huge category. It's probably a whole nother thing all by itself. But the idea is it's just one aspect of our life and we have to focus on multiple aspects. Wealth ascendancy. So in wealth ascendancy, we put both the business profits, because it's an entrepreneur group, the business profitability and the personal profitability inside of both the same one. So the idea is, is your business like actually making you money? We use the profit first philosophy. So is your business profit first sound, right? Does it have all the buckets filled inside of those right allocations from operating expense to your owner's take home, your taxes, and your expense count, right? So are those different ones all covered, right? So we do that. And then on the personal side, we actually have what we call the personal finance plan, which is kind of taken from Ramet Sethi, a lot of his stuff kind of put into that. But just the idea is like, how do you, an actual like tracking system for you to see, am I continuing to take home more money personally, right? Because your business might be growing, but you're not taking home more personally. So we need to get you to take more home personally. And then after you get that, you kind of get the rhythm of making sure that you are taking home the right money, and is dedicating out 10% to investments, 10% to savings, and then you have 50 to 60% is your take home, is your expenses, like fixed expenses in your life. And then that leaves 20 to 30% of like free budget or, like your disposable income in a sense. That's what you and your wife or family get to live on. That's the kind of stuff that you get to do, like things that are outside your fixed expenses, okay? So it's a pretty easy like allocation-based budget system for the personal side too. And then from there, we try to get you to like start create savings plans and fill savings buckets. And we have those all listed out, like kind of Dave Ramsey's philosophy of savings buckets, right? Fill your emergency one first in terms of 1,000, and then the 3 month, 6 month, that kind of goals, as well as here's like the recommendation that we have for investment and how to move up down the investment ladder, like fill this one first, then fill this one, fill this one. A lot of people don't fill the basic wealth categories and they go instantly to like trying to do an Airbnb investment instead of like going, okay, let's fill the main buckets that are tax-free, you get tax benefits on them. So let's fill those first before we get into the category of filling the, or before we start to put a higher risk out there in these other investments, right? So that's kind of the philosophy of that. So wealth ascendancy, we do want to make people more wealthy. And wealthy doesn't always mean taking home more money. A lot of times it's keeping the money you take home. That's the issue for most people. Deep relationships. So deep relationships are important in so many aspects of life. And this is relationships outside of your immediate family. So when I say immediate family, that would be you, your spouse, your kids. That would be your immediate family. Deep relationships is going to be the everybody else. It's going to be relationships with your parents, your brothers and sisters, your in-laws. It's going to be relationships with your best friends. It's going to be relationships with your mastermind members, right? So creating deep relationships, not just like surface level relationships. Do you build those? Do you work on those? Do you grow those? Do you find time for those? It's really important to like long-term health to have deep relationships. It's the idea that like who will show up to your funeral, right? Well, most people that make a lot of money, not a lot of people are showing up to their funeral. They might be in their life for a long period of time, but when it comes to the funeral, they might not show up, or they might just show up to see, like, did I get anything in this will? But are they really there for you? You want to have deep relationships that people show up at the end for you, okay? Number 7, there's 10 of these, just so you know. Adventure-driven life. Is your life full of adventure? And that doesn't mean like jumping off cliffs. It doesn't mean traveling. It doesn't mean anything. Adventure is just a fun word that we put in there. But realistically, it's the idea is like, do you have hobbies? Do you have things that take you away from business, that you enjoy outside of that? If you think of as a kid, you had things you enjoyed outside of school, right? School was your job. So you had things you enjoyed outside of school. Like, do you have those anymore? What are the things that you would put in that category? If you don't have those, maybe you're somebody that loves golf. Cool, like that's a hobby for you. Do you spend enough time doing it? Does your wife love to travel and you never travel because of your business? Find ways to do more of that. Do you have an adventure-driven life? You're doing things outside of business and outside of like just everyday chores, life chores that you have to do. Do you have fun outside of that makes life enjoyable? Enjoy the journey, because the journey is relatively short, right? If we go based on the idea that you could live 100 years, it's not that long of time. And like, if we don't spend time enjoying it, then we're going to miss out on a lot of good things. And again, all these things we're going to help you build playbooks in your life to make sure that those become part of your life. So for every one of these, we will have keystone habits. And those keystone habits, we do have like basic, here's the ones that we recommend as keystone habits. But we're going to help you in the mastermind program find what's the right things for you. What are the things that you love doing to help you become put these as keystone habits in your life. And you'll pick one keystone habit that you focus on for each category. And then whatever area is the lowest, you're going to try to move that up over time. Over a quarter, you're going to spend focusing on that one area of life and trying to move the needle as much as possible, so that now it's not the weakest link anymore. So the lowest hanging fruit, okay? And just so you know, as I go through this, only number 1 was probably the only one that was really in order. All these other ones are like, none of these in general have a proper order, right? Like, meaning all 10 are important. They should all be balanced. I only say physical health is the number 1 just because like if you don't have it, all the other ones are going to really suffer a lot long term. But all the other ones are super important, because like the next one's family man. Like it probably should be number 2 realistically, or number 3 depending on if you're strong in your faith, right? But I don't have those ordered in that way. They're really broken in on the actual diagram. They're actually broken into 3 different sections that are kind of focused on like the same ideas inside of them. So family man, be the best husband you can possibly be, right? Period. If you're not married, like become the best man that you can be, so that you become the best husband you can be and attract the best wife you can have, right? You owe it to them. You made a choice in your life to pick that person to be with forever, and they deserve your best. Period. I don't think there should be much more in life than being the best husband you can be, as well as the best father you can be. Regardless of your father. Now, I am not a father. I have tons of nephews and nieces, like 13 or 14 now. And like, I love being an uncle. I love being an uncle. I'm not a father at this point in my life. I don't know if I ever will be, and I don't think it's wrong to have kids or not have kids. But the idea is like, I need to be the best version I can. I need to continue to be the best human I can, so that if I do ever have kids, I can raise them the way a man should be raised, right? The way my father raised me. So it's our job to pass that on to the next generation, as well as be on the same page and have great communication with our wife. Every relationship's issue comes down to a communication thing that you guys didn't communicate as you changed over time. Usually we'll be like, well, we got married year 1 and year 10, we're not the same people. A long way you didn't communicate along that journey. Somewhere along the way you got lost in your business and you forgot to communicate with your wife as things were changing in her life, and so that you guys could adapt to life together. So that's on you. Extreme ownership, 100% on you. So the idea of family man is to become the best version of yourself. And we have different categories inside of that as well, right? Obviously, it's the different categories of being a father, a husband, but it's also being a protector. Like, are you taking care of the things in your life that need to be taken care of to make sure that your family's protected long-term as well as short-term in their life, whether it's wealth-based ideas, whether it's like making sure that you have your house taken care of, all the things that need to be supplied for sort of thing. We're going into real man stuff. It's not just like surface level, like, oh yeah, you need to be a good man. We're not going to really work on this. No, we have things to make you the best version of yourself, and everybody's going to have their own opinions on what they want. They think of that as. Our goal is to help like challenge ideas. And in a mastermind group, there's 10 other people in your group plus me. And sometimes my other business partners. And so we're going to have conversations about challenging you in different areas of your life to say, hey, do you really think that's good enough? Do you think the person that you want to be is this person? Or are you sacrificing something somewhere else to give up to make this not the best version of yourself? If you're saying you don't have time for a date night once a month with your wife, think you don't really care enough about your wife, honestly. Or you need to give up something else in your life that's pulling you somewhere else. I'm not trying to be judgmental at all, but the idea is every person gets married because they want to be the best husband they can be. Period. They want to do that. So where along the way did you decide you're not going to be the best at that anymore? When did you decide that you're not going to be all those promises you had in your vows? When, as you're a single person right now, if you're thinking ever about getting married and you're going to have stand in front of that woman or man, whatever it is, like if you're going to stand in front of that person, I'm just going to say woman from now on because that's kind of where I am in my faith, but that doesn't mean we're exclusive at all in that way. But the idea is in front of that woman and tell her exactly how you feel, right? Tell her exactly what you're feeling about this and how you're going to be the best version you can in that, when you're doing your vows with her. That's a lot of it. Sorry, I went deep into the family man, but I think it's a very important category that most people in masterminds don't tackle, and we are going to tackle it. Because from a man perspective, right? It's not going to be like pussyfooting around it because there's women in the group. It's a male-only group. We're going to have deep conversations and things that you have to like be told or be challenged on. And you're going to be able to challenge other people in these. And this expectation is not to sit back and just get stuff for you. It's also to pour back into other people. Are you willing to pour into these people? If not, it's not the right group for you. You have to be willing to, one, be able to be like kind of get naked in front of other people in a sense, right? And be like, bare your feelings. It's okay. We're men. We can have feelings, and feelings with other men is a whole different situation than having to bear our feelings in front of women, honestly. And so like our feelings in front of men, tell them how we're feeling because everybody else is dealing with it or went through it at one time. And like, as with anything else, we're always working on things. So it's a great group to be able to do that. So if you're somebody that wants to be well-rounded in all those things, especially a great family man, join this group, okay? Or at least reach out to me because we do have a pretty strong vetting process to make sure the right people are in this group. We don't take everybody. We have a limit of 30 total people and we only have 10 people per group. So realistically, it's a very tight-knit group. Number 9 is optimize mastery. So this is, again, coming back to the entrepreneur component. I think most entrepreneurs need to be more optimized in life to make sure that they're doing the right things, to be essential, doing these essential things, but also to make sure they're being as productive as possible using technology to their best of their advantage, mastering time management, utilizing technology, strategic planning, spending time strategically planning out the future. And think about it often enough, having breaks where I'm going to sit down and actually work on my business, not in my business, right? Truly working on your business. Like I'm going to dedicate time. I'm not just going to do a mastermind meeting and never focus on my business again for the rest of that month. No, it's like, okay, I'm going to take dedicated time to be able to work on improving these areas. So optimize mastery is optimizing so many different aspects of your life to make it so that your life is easier because you're more optimized in different areas, meaning technology-wise, and I'm going to help a lot with that. That's kind of where my skill set is. My skill set is I'm a very productive-based person. I do a lot of productivity stuff, and so I'm going to help you be more productive in all aspects of life. A lot of times it's just like little things that can make your life easier. And then also when I say optimizing technology, it's just also reducing technology, right? So less apps and stuff on your phone because you only need certain ones to do, and less time on your phone in general so you can optimize the other parts of your life, social media specifically too. The last category is maybe, again, could be the first one in the sense that it's personal evolution. So the idea of this group is you're trying to evolve. And so without that idea, realistically, you probably wouldn't join a mastermind group. But you still need to continue to have that personal curiosity, right? As you improve in certain areas of life, how do I continue to get better and better? How do I want to develop myself to be the best version of myself, and always challenging yourself to become the best version, reach your full potential? There's so many things that fit under the personal evolution, but kind of the base ones are embrace lifelong learning, right? Continue to do your book reading consistently, reading books that challenge the different aspects of your life, not just one area you love. So let's say you love business and you just love reading business books, which I think business books really do affect all aspects of life. So I think they're a really quality thing. But at the same time, I think you can probably read some books with your wife on marriage counseling, right? Or different things like that. You could be reading physical health books. There's different books and making sure you're covering the avenues where you need to improve them the most. Making sure you're doing self-assessments like SWOT analysis, like where are your strengths and weaknesses, opportunities and threats, right? Like what are the areas that I'm missing? Taking time to sit back. And personal evolution is really assessing you as an individual and where you're going inside of this. And then improving life skills, like, when I say life skills, it's like your communication skills with everybody, right? You need to improve that. Your writing skills, like what skills are you lacking that maybe you don't utilize a ton that need to be stronger to make yourself a better, like period, human, better entrepreneur, like especially writing skills can make you a better entrepreneur. Communication skills just make you a better human overall. So that's the 10 categories that we go through. We call them the 10 domains. We have an assessment that goes along with that to fill out these questions. When we fill out these questions, it'll kind of give you a ranking on where you fit on those. So there is a level where it's like we have questions to help you gauge where you're at on the scale, right? Or on the assessment. But there's also a little bit of a personal side where you feel. The key is not to have too much on the feeling side, because we might feel like our business is doing great, and then we look through it like, well, you think your business is a 9, I look through it and like you don't make any profit. You just literally are like money coming in, money going out. So is your business a 9 or is it really like a 5? You might have a lot of systems in place, but you're like doing all this work. So it's not too much a personal assessment. There's going to be other things, but there is a little bit of personal side. I think, I got this score and it says that I'm an optimizing, I'm a 6, but I honestly feel like I'm only a 4. I feel like these things say it's good, but I've had these other things. So there's a little bit of a personal assessment inside of that, but realistically, we do have scores and stuff to help you kind of get good gauges at where you're at in each category. So I hope this video makes sense to you guys on what we're trying to do with the Brotherhood Beyond Business Mastermind. Again, it is a males only group. I do apologize to any females that did watch this video and like, hey, I love this idea, but I'd love it for females. We don't have that as current time. If you have somebody that wants to develop that program, reach out to me. We can have a conversation to see if that's something that's real. Honestly, it's meant for a guy, period, that wants to be the best version of himself, be the best husband, spouse that they can possibly be, right? And wants to be a great father, wants to be a great, strong in their faith or their belief system. They want to be great in all these different areas of life. They want physical health, and they don't want to just sit back and be like, okay, everybody else says I just need to focus on my business. Why can't I do more than that? Why can't I be the best version of myself as this all happens instead of waiting 10 years from now and trying to improve one of those other areas? All right, guys, hope you have a great day. If you got any questions on this, please DM me, send me a message in any different domain we have. Right now, you can go to Level Up Fitness Business or levelupbusiness.co, and you can look at all the other stuff we offer as well. Have a great day.